Hey there, Nikki here with an unboxing I'm really excited for. Today we have Kingdom Death's Gambler Chest expansion. This is a massive expansion to the Kingdom Death core game. It arrived yesterday and I've done everything I can to not just rip into it until we got to look into it together. I'm a late backer to Kingdom Death, so I backed it back in 2018, so it's been 5 years for me, and even longer for the original backers, so this is something that we're very excited for. If yours has not arrived yet, mine arrived yesterday, so Friday 8/11 here in Texas. So if you're trying to, I know a lot of the groups are looking at shipping and when everyone's getting everything. But yeah, I was a late backer and it arrived on Friday, so I thought that it helps, and I hope that your stuff comes in soon. It did come in this massive box. I want to show you guys. So this is what we're looking at and how much stuff is in it. So that arrived. Within it, there is another cardboard box. I did go ahead and take all of the shipping stuff out of there just so that it is out of the way, but there is a smaller cardboard box that also had the cardboard reinforcement on the side, so it's very well packed. Once you get past all of the shipping stuff, it does come with another box. You guessed it. Here is kind of the black box that includes everything actually content related. So it is very well packed. Came in nicely, no damage or anything like that. Once you get to this, there are still 2 more boxes, kind of similar to the core game. So if you have the core game, this will look very similar to you. The first one has all of the paper components. So this one, and it's very heavy, has all of the tokens, cards. There is an organizer inside. There is also, I wanted to show, because it surprised me when I took it out of the box, some badass artwork on the back. So that's pretty cool. But we will go through all of this here in just a moment. But that is, all of the paper components are in the very heavy box. And then the other box is all miniatures, which is where we're probably going to spend most of today's time. Unfortunately, I don't have a regular board game group, so a lot of our friends are either Warhammer or D&D. I have not gotten to play like a full campaign of the core game. So unfortunately, when it comes to rules, I'm probably not going to be the best resource for that, but there are creators here on YouTube. I encourage you to check them out if you're looking for more of the rules. We will be spending more of our time on the miniatures. So we will go through the sprues and everything today. We will be painting and building some of those here on the channel and also over on Twitch. So if you want to go follow there for more of the miniature side, I'll also link all of my socials in the description so you can see works in progress and finish and all that good stuff. So let's dive in. Okay, we've moved over to the paint cam normally to go through the boxing. This is the box has all of the paper components. So this is our tokens, cards, organizer, rulebook, all that good stuff. So starting right off the bat, we've got tokens. There are 2 new tokens. We've got Pressure and Torment, along with a bunch of other tokens that will be used throughout the campaign. The next one is kind of the terrain tiles. If you've played the core game, you'll be familiar with these. So more terrain for the board and everything. Speaking of, next up is the encounter board. One of the new things out of the Gambler's Chest is encounters. It is not played on the large map on the core game. It has its, oops, I bonked my camera. It has its own board, so this is a much smaller board, but still has the grid pattern for the encounters. So we'll come back to that here in a moment, but that is included in here. Next up, there is also new sheets. So this is for your survivors. You can see you got a fair amount in here to go through because you'll need them. This again will look very familiar if you played the core game. The new stuff is over here on the side, so philosophy and knowledges to fill out for all of the survivors. We've got the rulebook that I went ahead and took the wrapping off of just so you guys could see it a little easier on camera. We will go through this here in a moment. I just want to show what else is here. There is the new Scout rules, so that actually does get a gear card for that, similar to the survivors. It is smaller, so they get less gear, but there is a little bit about that. More to add here: to track knowledge, philosophy, collective cognition, also new, so we'll set those aside. Similar to the survivor cards, you also get one for the settlement, and I think I saw someone else actually take this out. It's actually a booklet, so you have everything you need for your settlement in a booklet now, but you can see as you go through the campaign, it has through 39 of the lantern years, but everything is on here for you to track. Got milestones, quarries, nemesis, with the Gambler's Chest campaign that is listed out here, so all the things that you'll be fighting, but that is there as well. And then we get to all of the cards, I thought this was really cool. You actually get a do not open until instructed, so we will not be opening that. There is another unique dice. Don't know what that's for. You do get some of the regular Kingdom Death dice with the lanterns on it. But then yeah, we've got gear cards. They do have the little separators for organizing, which is really nice. Hit locations, hunt things, all of the new pattern system. So we've got seed patterns in here, but a lot of this will be very familiar. There's knowledge cards in here. That's one of the other new systems. What else have we got in here? We've got the scouts, so scout discovery, that system. And then also some art cards, it looks like, which I kind of want to open up. We also have, I mentioned the philosophies, those are also here, and little booklets. So I won't open too many of these. I feel like there's a, okay, so there's a starting philosophy, but you can kind of see what's in here. But a little booklet as you are working through the new system as well. So all of the details in there included in the booklet. Sorry, this might be a little loud as we open it, but I do want to go through the art card. Okay, so we've got... I like this kind of sketchy art card. Very cool. And then you will see, obviously, some of these as we go through the miniatures here in just a moment. Murder. This is one of my favorite miniatures. I'm excited to open that one here in just a little bit. Father and son. Oh, adorable. One of the crossover minis. Very cool. And then one of the, I believe that's another promotional mini, so all of the art cards for those are in here. The thing that, unfortunately, I can't zoom out anymore, but there is a settlement box, which has some of the larger settlement cards. It also has some of the AI decks, so if you feel like you're missing something, there are a couple in here, so be sure to check that as well, but that's over here on the side. Again, because I haven't played as much, I don't feel like I can do the rules and things justice, so I won't go through everything in here, but this is all of the kind of similar cards you have from the core game, as well as your art cards, your dice, everything that you would need to play the game. I do want to go through some of the rulebook though, because it shows what all is included with this campaign, so let me move this box and we'll go through it. Alright, and then here is the rulebook itself. I think it did a really nice job of kind of summarizing everything that's part of the expansion, so I thought it would be useful to use. There might be some narrative spoilers. I'm going to try not to go through like the storybook section that they do for the different things, so it may just be for that first boss, there may be some things, so I guess slight spoiler warning. But I feel like if you're in it, you know what you're coming into. So here is the rulebook, very nice. Scoot it over so you can see everything here. Table of contents. Got a very nice thank you. That was cool. With the gambler model right front and center here. But the Gambler's Chest expansion, so for those who maybe don't know what we're getting into here, is a collection of new rules, monsters, and components, plus a campaign to experience them all. Gambler's Chest expansion contains many new elements that will challenge Kingdom Death monster players. Following pages, you will find an overview of the new concepts, contents, and miniatures included in this box. They also do have a note for if you want to jump right in, so if you're already playing and want to jump in, you can skip ahead. So we're going to go through the things without skipping ahead, so you can see what's in here. So the big things that are part of this expansion are, there are narrative sculptures, so these very cool, dynamic, sculpted miniatures are part of that. So miniatures to enhance storytelling on the board, characters that leave a lasting impression. There are also the patterns, so we saw those cards in the components box, so patterns and seed patterns, cards that expand what your settlement can build. We have the encounters, so that board that we saw, monsters that waylay your hunt as you search for your quarry. We have the scout system, Scouts of Death, survivors who carry the burden of recovery after a disastrous hunt. We have the Wanderer system, which are survivors with storied past emerge from the darkness. The new monsters, so in this we have the Crimson Crocodile, the Smog Singers, Atlas, the King, the Gambler, and the God Hand all enter the fray. We have the Arc Survivors, so that is the collective cognition, the philosophies, and the knowledge that we saw on the cards and on the trackers. And then the Dream Keeper campaign, a new campaign that weaves together all of the new content. So if you wanted to just jump straight into that, that puts all of it in together. So first up, those narrative sculptures. Narrative sculptures are miniatures designed to be your next beloved survivor. Each tells a story of Kingdom Death. So settlements that defeat the God Hand unlock the character system for use in future campaigns. Characters are an optional component that adds another layer of personality to survivors when they are named. Any character cards are inspired by the narrative sculptures included in this box, so you get a character to play once the God Hand is unlocked. So this is something that will be later. You wouldn't start with these right off the bat, but then there are a few of the sculpts. We also have patterns and seed patterns. Patterns represent inspiration. They extend the range of gear that survivors can craft. Seed patterns introduce a source of wild ideas, a table to fabricate outrageous new designs that provide novel solutions to gameplay challenges. Defeat indomitable monsters to obtain new resources that rouse the survivor's imagination. Seed patterns offer a settlement an ongoing source of new invention. Survivors living with a drafting table constantly discover new configurations of resources and gear. Mysterious origin of their ideas is a small price to pay for the potential benefits they present. So that is another being added. We've also got our encounters. So as survivors track their quarry, encounter monsters stalk this darkness. Encounters add new perils to the hunt phase. So here is included are the Bone Eaters. They do have cards to go with that, and an encounter board. I did see that they don't have the hit location, so it's actually like a number of wounds that you do, so that's a little bit different than a main hunt as well. Next is the Scouts. Scouts carry a heavy burden. In the absence of regal intervention, a scout must return with the battered corpses and gear of the fallen hunting party. Scouts are an optional component that increases the simulation and difficulty of a campaign. It answers the question, what happened to survivors' gear when they perish? The survivor nominated as the scout departs with the hunting survivors. Instead of trying to fell their quarry, the scout's role is to bear witness and to survive at all costs. In the worst case, they must fulfill the grim role of bringing everything back to the settlement. The best case, their unique perspective may lead to discoveries that benefit the whole settlement. So you have another party member going out for some of that, and again, has its own gear. The gear grid we looked at in the components part, discovery cards, and then a location as well. Next we have the Wanderers. A stranger appears from the darkness. Wanderers are optional visitors to your settlement. They arrive with their own agenda. Assist them, they may join you on the hunt, bringing their unique abilities and gear. Wanderer's story unfolds in the time they share with the hunting survivors. They can impact a settlement in different ways depending on their disposition, often teaching survivors or sharing their boons. So again, cards and things. Another booklet included with the components that we looked at. Sorry, I'm blocking some of the art here. All this pretty art, I don't want to block it. And then we get into the critters. So I guess this would be, if you're not familiar, if you want to keep it a surprise, maybe you're running in a campaign with someone who has picked it up. I believe anyone who picked it up probably knows what's in it, but the first one you'll face is the Crimson Crocodile. A blood-soaked beast covered in scabs that manipulates vitality. This monster delights in survivors' dread. Its laughter rings in their ears. Creepy. Creepy good boy. We have the Smog Singers. Pacifist travelers in search of compassion. They fill the atmosphere with smog and song. Their painful harmonies merely misunderstood attempts to communicate. This one is so creepy, I'm going to make sure you get the art. There's Atnus. A scarred amnesiac master. Its fervent pursuit of joy leads it to eat children, dice up survivors, unleash flurries of forgotten swordsmanship. And then this beast. Here is the Gambler. That is all hand sculpted too, if you've seen the works in progress as the project was coming together. All hand sculpted. Twin-Chin God of Games, a monster with a unique perspective that reaches beyond possibility. It carries the risk of an ancient wager on its shoulders as it nurtures your settlement for its own purposes. And then we have the King. A being of immense power that converts sound into energy. Even the beat of a survivor's heart can become an explosion that rends their body apart. Cool. And then the God Hand. The Hand, transformed. A relentless murder machine focused on removing the unplanned survivors for good and capable of splitting the earth with a single swing of its blade. The entire settlement will fight for their existence. Pretty cool, I think. The Ark Survivors is one of the other things being added with this campaign. So they are the wielders of the philosophy system. So those cards that we saw in the box, those are all here. Has a little bit of an example here. So Arc cells allow knowledge cards to advance. I'm not super familiar with the system, so I'm going to go ahead and move past this, but that is all in here and on the sheet we're looking at. And then I believe this is the last thing, the Dreamkeeper campaign. So tying it all together in a campaign. The next one is the prologue, so I'm going to leave that. So it does have a little storybook entry, just like the core game has. But yeah, I will stop here in case anyone is wanting to go through that yourselves or with your group. But there is the core rulebook. So the last thing to look at today is the miniatures. Let me get those set up here in just a moment. Okay, now to look at some of the miniatures. So I unfortunately can't zoom out on my camera anymore, but when I open the box, there is a giant plastic bag that is then filled with all of the sprues in plastic bags. So I don't want to take everything just out. I did take out one to show as an example for everything we've got here, but then I did grab some of the sprues that I could find. They're a little bit mixed in the box for some of those big beasties we were just looking at in the rulebook. So the one I took out is the Crimson Crocodile. It's the first one that I'll probably build since that's the first monster that we have. They are label, so if you are new to Kingdom Death, there is the label there for Crimson Crocodile. It was also how I was able to kind of put some of these together. So there is the sprue, so kind of general assembly. The really nice part is, while there's not instructions in the box, if you go to build.kingdomdeath.com, and I'll put that in the description, they do have build guides that have photos of all of the pieces and where they go. So if you need help getting these together, I would suggest checking out the website. I did go on there and I saw a lot of the expansion stuff. I believe all the core stuff is also on there. So if you ever need a resource for some of the building, that is on build.kingdomdeath.com. So there is a sprue example there. I did pull out, so one of the larger ones was Atlas, and you can see here just how large some of those pieces are. And from what I found, looking through, he had 3 sprues. So if there's another one in there, I apologize, but I did find these as I was going through. The other one I found was the King, so another large sprue. I do really love that all the sprues are in baggies. One, because it's going to take a while to get through everything, and it's nice to know that they're safe in here. Also, if a piece happens to break off, it is with the rest of the model, so really glad that they all have these different baggies. The one that was crazy while I was going through was the Gambler himself, and I believe that's that kind of speaks for itself. But these are all Gambler sprues, and I'm just going to lay them out so you can see. Here's where all of the kind of the bodies connect there. Let me set these down. Speaking of, here are all of those. All of these different pieces that will go together. Definitely want to make sure I have the instructions for this one. And then the Gambler himself. And another sprue of all of the bodies on there. So this is what? How many sprues? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, unless I missed one, which I might have, because there's a lot of sprues in there. But yeah, there's an idea of just how complicated, how complex this model is. And then yeah, make sure to look for those build instructions. The other thing that was in there is there is a big old bag of bases and inserts for all of your models. This is also where there are these little tiny dice for the encounters. So if you need the little, I believe they're wound counters, but those are in there to use. And then I also pulled out one of these are more of the kind of narrative sculpts, so you can see some of the smaller stuff. So this one includes, this is White Fang, which is one of the narratives. This is the X-Man family, so there is a mom, dad, and son. And then also on here is the father and son, which is one of the ones I'm very excited for. But yeah, these really cool narrative sculpts also in these nice bags on sprue. And yeah, ready for assembly with the instructions online. And with that, that's what we've got. So really excited to dig into some of these miniatures. Again, we will be building and painting some of these on stream. So if there's ones that you want a closer look at, we may have those at a later time. Obviously, there's a lot I'm going to be going through today and figuring out what I want to build first, what I want to get together. I will probably take a look through the rulebook to see what I need to get together here in the beginning of the campaign and kind of work my way through that. Kind of similar to the core game where it tells you the first like couple encounters that you'll have. I'll probably do similar just to make sure I've got everything. Make sure our Crimson Crocodile's ready to roll. But that's what I've got. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing everything from the unboxing. Again, follow if you want to see more in more details, and I'll catch you next time. Bye!